right near the inside ring. You're more than welcome to build things like tactical missiles, EMPs, Junos. Just use them defensively, not offensively. If there is spam coming up the ramp, feel free to Juno the top of the ramp. Do not Juno the place the ticks are coming from, because with the kings being so bunched in, they do not have the option to spread their stuff out. And
We're
let's jump
underway.
into this one.
So this one's probably the most balanced game that that we've seen tonight of the 3 games. First one, obviously, very much in the favour of the Kings. Complete stomping, thanks to Tank Tom's doing everything. And the second game, a lot closer, but still, we just had that extreme eco in the corner of the map. This one here, we do have Classic still in this game. They are a dangerous player in King of the Hill, but the middle of the map, everyone's got at least, well, I was going to say everyone's got at least 4 chevrons, 5 chevrons, but we do have 1 3 chevron there. I'm sure they know what they're doing though. We do have Legion on for the first time on King of the Hill, and we've also got the extra units pack on, so that's going to be really interesting. I don't play with those units very much, so do excuse me if I don't get the names right.
Yes, didn't realize those ones were on, so this will be a very interesting test.
Okay. I think everything's pretty typical here out of the middle. I do like starting where the light pink player did start, closest mexes together, so you can get 2 mexes pretty early in the game. All the other commanders starting back in the middle there, only able to get 1. Having said that, Rhaenyra has taken 2, even though they should be taking only 1. That means 1 king's only going to get 6 mexes. Oh well, is what it is. Sharing the love.
As long as the metal's being taken and used, it's generally not too big of a deal.
Once you get to that 20-minute mark, the kings are usually overflowing anyway in all directions, and it just becomes an APM game.
You start building the conversion for someone else and not the build power, so you can eat all the metal that they give you. Those sorts of things. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Does look like a couple of the kings have chosen Legion, and quite a lot of the peasants have as well. So we're going to have a different mix of units to usual. One of my favorite things about Legion is these windmills. Don't know why they're much more aesthetically pleasing than a regular windmill, but they are. Maybe it's because I grew up on Halo and saw windmills like this in Reach. Never forget.
Rhaenyra throwing the first T2 lab down maybe a little bit early, with not enough metal in the bank right now, but going to build a storage and reclaim that T1 lab most likely. I said that, a lot of mixes up already. Nicely done. Doing the exact right thing. You want to send constructors down the line of all those mixes instantly. The first 2 constructors you build, I usually use that spacebar command to just start the construction turret in base before my first constructor leaves, get the commander to finish off and send that constructor on to build 3 of the mixes out towards the outside of the map, and then my second constructor doing the same down the adjacent line, third constructor getting into wind. And then yeah, these little res bots as well, jumping around and taking the little money, or sorry, metal and energy around the map. Not much to go between all the kings, but only 2 going for those crystals at the moment, and they'll clean them all up shortly for that little bit of an economic boost. I do prefer going bots at the start of the king position, just for those boosts that you can get.
One of the interesting things about doing a Legion build with this is because you get different amounts of metal out of your T1 mexes. I imagine that's going to throw a bunch of things out of whack.
You're right.
Yes.
So what are we looking at?
I would say that is one of the
1.5 compared to 1.9 for the standard mexes, so a little bit less. And yeah, I do prefer the Cortex and Armada Eco over the Legion in this one for that reason, because it is about getting to T2 in this game, not T1. So you can overcharge a couple of these maybe quite early. I haven't seen that out of anyone yet though. Keeping them all as the standard mixes. Only 2 kings going into the Legion.
T2's already up for the peasants.
Yes, T2's up in the top right and top left for the peasants. Has been since 3 minutes and 20 seconds in the top right and 3 minutes and 40 seconds in the bottom, top left and bottom left. Just came up recently in the top right and just started in the bottom right. So the peasants certainly trying to copy that co-op eco style and get all of their corners nice and set.
Hey, props to the players. No one's broken the rules yet. Last
Wait.
game there was like 10 at this stage. I shouldn't have said that. Shut up, Twig.
That's unheard of. This that's official. I died, and I'm in heaven. I never thought this day would come, but we have people that actually read. Oh no, we didn't. One player down the bottom, building walls the entire way around the high ground. Look, it's not legal, but I'm just gonna let that pass. That doesn't really do anything.
It enforces the terrain. So I'm gonna say it's fine, because you can't get bots up and down that anyway.
Yes. I do like these cameras in that top section over there. Probably a little bit early for them. You want to dedicate as much of your resources as possible.
A lot of cameras as well.
Early on, but it is what it is. Looks like some pretty heavy distribution of T2. Sitting around the map, there are already 6 in the top left corner moving around. In the bottom left, there are 7, and in the bottom right, there's no, there are not. Top right, just a handful moving around. Just 2. So it does look like the top left corner and the bottom left corner are going to be very strong positions, getting that T2 to everyone as early as possible. The overall metal that you can give your team is super important in this game type. The helping your teammates is helping yourself, because the kings are essentially one unit that has to spread out, and the peasants are one unit that has to converge in the center.
If you can give that benefit to the person that's in front of you that's going to hold the line, that gives you another 5 minutes to build your eco to keep churning, so then you can actually push in with a solid force.
Yes.
Ray, with Legion enabled, do you reckon you're going to see your new favourite unit in the game in this?
I do not believe that the Soul Invictus is going to make it out. That is such an expensive unit, and if we were going to see it, we would be seeing Jugs in these matches far more often. But at the moment, we do not see those pop up very often at all, so I don't think we're going to get a Soul Invictus. However, if somebody wants to build a Soul Invictus, please build a Soul Invictus. They're so cool. Like, I don't know who designed them, but they are so damn cool.
What do you think we're going to see differently with this?
Up the next 30 in the middle here.
What do you think we're going to see differently with this extra unit pack turned on? Do you reckon players are going to go for those more expensive units?
Sorry, Twig, are you seeing what's happening at the Red King?
Yes. I didn't notice that was occurring.
That's awesome.
Is great.
That's really awesome. Getting an APHIS down and utilizing everyone's metal and build power. This is going to be very, very tough for the peasants.
As soon as it's up, the overflow hits everyone.
Are we going to have enough units out at the 10-minute mark? This is a great tactic, but I do have to say it's 8 minutes 30. This lab still has 20 to 30 seconds left on it by the looks of things. And we've got no spam going around here. If the peasants were building units right now and rushed them, they would be under a lot of danger. But I think it might pay off for the Kings, because looking around the bases, there's only one army of blitzers on that right-hand side of the map. Apart from that, we're looking at a lot of eco-hungry
When you're
players.
in these situations, it's always a gamble to go, do you have enough defenses? Are you going to run into an impenetrable wall? Or is it going to be a few LLTs and you can charge on through? Yes. And a lot of that information you don't have necessarily, although it looks like there's some radars up that are giving some useful information. Not that you can necessarily tell exactly what the dots are, but you can normally guess. So it's going to be an interesting start looking at this.
It is, and with 30 seconds away, what are we going to have? I would love to see some spam. to support these T3 units. They are very susceptible to D-guns this early in the game. We do have some players that have encroached a little bit too far up the ramps. Just bear this one in mind. People, do not go onto the ramps. Do not go onto the ramps.
I think we're letting this one go because it looks like that player is
Yeah.
playing defensively, a little bit newer to this. Oh well. 10 minutes is up.
But we are at the 10 minutes. We are going to get a large number of blitzers heading through. And the only thing that's going to be here to stop them is 2 pop-up Dragon Claws. And that is not a lot to stop a force of 42 blitzers. We did mention that if
2 Razorbacks is definitely big enough to stop them.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt. But the blitzers are faster than Razorbacks, aren't they?
We're going to get splitzers. They are, but they're not going to be
Blitzers,
faster.
speed 99 versus a speed of 69. So yes, they are faster, but it doesn't look like they're going to get around. Still some damage done. I would say that this is in fact worth it because it did stop those Razorbacks from walking up the cliff. Problem is now very, very vulnerable to go up that cliff. Does look like we have an attack coming up here. The camera's not quite providing the defenses necessary, but it does give advance warning and let those Razorbacks get around and go.
Unfortunately,
Mostly
ticks were left in that middle rather than pushing all the way in.
Yes. Do have a comm going for some D-guns, but it does also mean they're going to be a lone out there. There is plenty of units to get a surround, but with the comm moving back into range of those turrets, not going to happen. But these shell shockers are definitely capable of dealing damage. Invisible comm heading up to skirmish with the Razorback. Comm just standing there waiting for the Razorback to make its way in. Does look like the comm may be able to get that D-gun on, and it does. This is why you need spam to accompany those big T3 units. There are going to be so many comms at the top of these ramps.
Push from the top right of the map with more blitzers, but this time going away from the Razorbacks, the better move. Not going to like the pop-up turrets that they're about to come across. Those pop-up turrets taking 2 shots per unit to take them out with a little bit of splash damage happening. I wouldn't mind once again seeing some splitsies in these armies, and we might have done some economic damage. We might still going to hit this first mix.
They are going to make it in.
And we will get the chain reaction off these wins if they pop, which
yes,
they
there we
do.
go. So 1 mechs and 1 wind, and for this maroon player, that is actually a big chunk of their eco because they did not have a fusion. It does look like someone's built an epic recluse, and it is struggling to deal with the spam that is coming in around it. It's getting lots of damage off when it does fire, but still not the best thing at dealing with the spam, but all cleaned up and nice.
What do you think from this first couple minutes? Is this T3 rush worth it? Right now in this situation? Like
it's held, so I'm gonna say yes, but it puts you in a weaker spot at that 10-minute mark because you've got a handful of high investment units, and ideally they're investments that you'd like to protect with something else around them. We've already seen at least 1 die to a D-gun.
What we can see on the left-hand side of the map is what has kind of put us off of using Legion in these game modes, and it is that napalm. You just spit it out onto these ramps on a attack ground, and there's not much you can do about it in that early stage of the game. Yes. Inferno is doing work, and they're just going to keep putting damage on these units, and that ramp's essentially going to be impassable if you got enough units doing the same thing continuously.
Looking like mutually assured destruction there with napalm on both sides.
Just pinging you down.
Does look like that epic recluse has made its way down to the bottom of the map. This is a pretty big deal for the T3, but it is not pushing it deeper in, so only a couple of mexes go down. The comm that was defending this ramp is now down, which leaves it open for the Razorback. The big difference here was that spam, and the comm was not able to get the D-guns off. That Razorback should be able to clean up these LLTs, should be able to walk straight over these walls because it is a T3 unit. Those do not stop T3. T3 goes where it pleases. T3 is Mundo. And then getting into the back lines. This is what you got to do when you get that unit pass. Don't try and fight the things, just take out as much of the eco as possible. Don't worry about those comms, they're not going to catch you. They are slower than you. Just keep walking forward, keep dealing damage. These players are not going to have the defenses they need to deal with it. Don't stop to take out those wins because you're going to be walking away from your objective. Your objective is to clear out this player in the middle who thought he was super safe, but thankfully because of that does manage to get it. Going for the going to self D that one, so there is no corpse. I would have waited a little bit longer, but I guess with those banishes out, that was the right call. And all of this damage has been done, all these units pulled back to defend, and now there is a group of Razorbacks getting ready to punch down. Looking at the top right, similar story.
Good response
over here.
Coming through on this bottom side. Some units have made it in, and they're now seeing what they can find.
Some ticks over here, destroying that epic recluse. What a badass group of ticks, all of them absolutely top tier, many chevrons, many ranks. But now we have all of the Razorbacks pushing in, and the comms are out of position.
On the left hand side, we have pushed through that one ramp that I did say wasn't going to fall because of Legion, so I was wrong there. But the Belcher's coming in and returning fire, and we might have a comm go down. It is our lowest chevron player for the Kings, but they're doing quite well. Kind of holding onto their base tighter than a toddler with a juice box. I think it will hold just because of the slowness coming out of these Legion units. If we get a reaction, that is, out of the teammates surrounding. We might not. If these pawns just rush on in, we'll see those winds go down, and then those energy converters should fall pretty damn quickly. If that commander goes pop,
Energy
where it is
converters
right
do
now,
like to go pop.
Tom just sitting in that fire loses 10%,
pings.
15% of the health.
ping,
Got to get
ping.
these pings out. The team has got to get in and help. If this player falls, then that is going to be a whole lane that they have to deal with, that they no longer have the resources to deal with.
Being
This is a big
pulled
problem.
in the north, bunch of balls coming down. This pink player's eco is holding on by a thread, and that thread is just 3 wind turbines spinning around.
It looks like we're seeing the responses coming out now, so they won't quite crack the middle.
Well, com going down, nicely
But
done.
this does stop the offenses of the other players, and while this is going on, Wanira has left himself open to the attacks from his concurrent player. These phalanxes and snipers coming in doing what they can, but having to fight into Prometheus. These Prometheus very strong units. They can take quite the hit, and they deal a good amount of damage. Resbot's up on the high ground. We do like seeing that. You've got to eat what you take, or resurrect it and claim the area yourself. Looks like Red's push has been blunted, those Razorbacks only managing to do minimal damage, and the yellow and the cream push also stopped in their tracks. The players still alive out there.
Still getting pushes through on the left hand side, but the opposite is happening on the right hand side. We do have some Resbots trying to come up and do some reclaims on the right. They're not going to get much happening though. With a whole bunch of these Striders chasing them back up the ramp, similar speed though, so they're not going to quite get them. And all the Razorbacks responding to those coming over to save the day. The Resbot's very important.
One of the Razorbacks deep in the right hand side, unfortunately only able to get a lab and a little bit of wind. That comm is going to be in range to give it the D-gun. Did miss the opportunity there though and get taken out, so it does look like it's going to continue through. Those Sheldons should be able to clean it up with that spam though. I would like to see a self-D out of this one so they can't res it. It was a very good move previously.
Wanira with
That left
mass
side's done a
spam
great
coming
job.
I do like mass goblins. They are very cheap. And I do believe that they are not destroyed by the Juno, is that correct?
I'm not sure, but it's a really satisfying looking line with them all coming out like that.
Yes, if you're looking at the mini-map, that does look very nice. And these are starting to push on in. What we need from behind is some sort of heavy attacker that can make use of the vision and the stopping of the defenses. Does look like a couple of the Prometheus have broken this area and made it down into the area. So Wanira definitely pulling more than his fair share of weight in this in this left side and giving the pink player an opportunity to recover. Unfortunately, they are trying for that lab with low wind, low build power. They definitely do need to scale themselves back into the game. Getting units right, getting 1 or 2 units right now isn't going to make the biggest difference, but getting back into it and becoming a powerhouse to help in 5 minutes definitely will.
On the left hand side here, only finally do a bunch of pawns come over and help out. For a while there, it was looking like this base was kind of like a scene out of the Titanic. No one coming to help, but luckily that changed.
Do you like seeing the Daedalus? Daedalus is a very nice, very cool looking unit. Reminds me of a Zoid I built a very, very long time ago. A whole stack of guns on top. Very lovely. What have you seen, Twig?
Exactly what you were looking at the same time. I thought that's why you said it. You saw my cursor there. That's a unit I haven't used. I haven't used Legion much in the game, as you guys know. I do stick to the base game just so the very few times I get to play this competitively, I stick to the base game because I am no good at learning new things.
We have had a breakthrough on the right side after several attempts. There has finally been a successful one where enough Razorbacks have overwhelmed the defensive position and the Kings have pushed up. Big advice for the Kings: if you do manage this, stop production on a couple of units just for a second, get yourself a whole load of butlers or equivalent. Put some towers up here to stop spam from breaking out, take all the mexes, reclaim everything, get the metal, res it if you can get res bots up, and do your best. Does look like a counterattack is coming up of grunts. There is plenty for them to do, but there is also plenty of defenses, big hits by these vanguards, taking out a whole chunk of them, and spaced out LLTs and other defenses, making sure that they can't get in. But I do like the attempt.
So yes. I don't see any kings in walking distance, sorry, commanders in walking distance of these 6 Razorbacks, 7 Razorbacks.
Once you start getting an army of those, it gets very difficult to deal with them because you can't really overwhelm them with spam when there's enough of them that they can fill the space shoulder to shoulder.
And they do kick out a very nice amount of damage. They're decently ranged, they're very fast, they're a great unit for this mix. They're a great unit for this game type. So it does look like, even though we were a little worried about that T3 from the combined T3 from those players, it does look like it's worked very well, and sharing them out is very strong. These wins just a little bit too close together and chain reacting. You notice that as soon as they stopped being next to each other, they stopped chain reacting, means that you didn't have a full squares space in between them.
You have a little bit of an but the Razorbacks have turned around. Going into the pulsars is not the right move when there's no energy, and you can see that pulsar just not shooting. Finally getting a shot off. Does get 50% in one shot, but better. I reckon the one pulsar with a bunch of spam would have been the better move. And this base will fall.
The Razorbacks would have had to deal with that. You could have potentially gotten the surround damage, the surround bonus, and you actually would have had the pulsar firing.
Danger there is a lot of kings on the top left of the screen, and one of the new Cortex units, the Deadeye, well, not that new actually, it's been around a while, you just don't see it because it is an extra unit. It is kind of like a sniper with a triple pulse shot, as you just saw on my screen. I don't know if you're seeing that, Praedyth.
I saw the end of it, and I should see another. There it goes.
Yeah.
They use a lot of energy.
Interesting unit. Very, very energy
That top
hungry.
left corner has done a good job of occupying this top section.
But it does look like the top right is falling.
There has been a lot of fighting going on.
Does look like the top right is falling as well, with another push down. Razorbacks backed up with spam, and then we have plenty of vanguards on the high ground just shelling down. But this is a big problem. All the kings need to deal with this because everyone's eco is centralized. Once you crack a single king, it makes big problems for everyone. I don't think there'll be quite enough.
Have they got vision on any of the eco yet? There's 4 of them.
Let's have a quick look. Player view. They do have a little bit. They know where the far aphis are, but they do not know where the close ones are. Getting an epic pulsar down for defense. That's a big boy. It does look like Winera is now getting into some of this eco with a few of these Cargonets, but a Bastion is going to be blocking it. You never know, we might actually be able to get the Soul Invictus out this game. It's certainly
are
going
about to
long,
see
the Kings are
an epic
well
ball
positioned.
come up in that lane on the left, bottom left-hand side. So the first huge defensive unit. They do work when they're up.
If you can
I
power them, that is. There's
reckon
also
you're-
some mini starfalls that are keeping that ramp under control. Do like the use of the extra units where you can.
Another king going down on a peasant going down on the bottom of the map, the green player there. Not much between what is going to be a absolute dominating line of spam along with Razorbacks for the yellow and red player. I don't think there is much of an answer, so unless the bottom left come online pretty quickly, which they could do because there are 6 officers sitting right there doing their thing. Get some units out quick, smart, because you're going to have some enemy on your doorstep very shortly.
I have officially joined the Kings team with my support because I want to see that bottom left side chain react. That is density like I have never seen before.
I suspect your dreams are going to be answered in a couple of minutes.
I may have made that prediction based on complete and total map knowledge. Because if you look at the top side as well, we've had very, very strong pushes. This Vanguard, Razorback, and Spam combo has been running a riot through this entire map. Very, very well done from these players. If you have a look in, Red is still producing all of the Razorbacks. It is the other players that are producing the Spam and the backup units. They've just left one person to do the Razorback, and they're working together as a singular unit. It's a Soul Invictus. It is the big boy. It is the Chonk Master. It is the best unit in the game with those shoulder-mounted lasers. Can you believe how beautiful that unit is? Kings need to stop attacking that because I am now officially on the Peasants team. This thing must go and destroy. Kings need to just submit to its awesomeness.
Having said that, Winera is building one too. We're going to have Soul Invictus versus Soul Invictus in about 50 seconds.
And that was the one that I saw.
Soul Invictus need to work together. Don't fight each other, join teams. Become the king. Become the Soul Invictus.
This thing, if it keeps... Oh no, it's backing up. It could probably have done damage against those AFIS. Can we see them? Yes, there is visibility for this player of that AFIS. But running away from those Vanguards, not going to get there, and Winera's commander conveniently coming down just as a backup in case we get a change of mind. Oh, yes. Green has made its way into pink space, and we are seeing the build power go down again. And is this commander going to get targeted by these Prometheus? I don't think so. And a D-gun taking one out, and probably the next one to come. Yes.
Where is this happening, Twig?
The light pink player just took them all out, but you can see their base is heavily damaged now.
Yep. Yep. Sorry, I was looking at the eco that got just taken out by the last shot out of a Razorback in the bottom, in the very bottom middle of the screen. So that is another player's
doing a good job of completely shutting down that spam line out of Winera.
Look at him go! But now we have Soul Invictus.
The commander's in vision.
Oh dear!
Pop.
Commander went pop.
We're going to see some build power go down. If this is microed properly, this Pilum, I haven't seen the Pilums before, taking out the build power for all that Winera spam, and they could potentially get through.
They're in.
Uh-oh. There is Razorbacks coming to deal with them, and I don't know if there's going to be... Oh, it stopped. It did get a bunch of the conversion, but it's not going to get the big prize, which is the APHIS and conversion up there. Good hold by the Kings. But we're definitely... the Kings definitely are not out of the... Oh, we just had a... Janus go off in at that middle of the map. Just remember, people, do not use those offensively. Buildings are for defensive use only.
Our right hand side is down, but everyone's coming online now, and the peasants are coming back like it's a Black Friday at the gates of Costco.
Peasants are still ahead on eco at this stage.
Have we got enough?
Are they going to fight me for a TV or something?
I don't actually think the TVs at Costco are that cheap.
I don't know.
It's
You just
bags
see
of
people
like
do
10,000
crazy things.
nuts. That's where you get your value. That you have in the back of your shelf for like 3
Or
years.
or if you can wait for the Pokemon trading card sets to go on sale, those will do you well.
These Vanguards slowly making their way, and King's very lucky to have no eco near that left-hand side of the map. I wouldn't mind seeing them come further south and pick on the weak link, I would suggest, with the light pink player's base going down. There is a Titan there though, which will do work against these, unless these snipers come online.
Need to spread out, but they are getting surrounded by the spam. There's good vision. The Vanguards are going to back out yet again. These things have been sitting around just doing a lot of damage.
Oh, we have a long range napalm launcher here.
They
lock off this.
Died against the big dragon's furies. Ooh, calm down on the left side.
Calm down. And that's the hole reopened into the base.
Classic's base just got absolutely destroyed. He had been hanging on for so long then. That was the top of the map, but we do have a lot more of these pulls
solid push on this left-hand side.
Yes,
I think this is getting
there is a big push heading into the Kings, but into the middle there. It's plenty of defense to try and deal with this, but there are 20 of these Pilums that are going to be walking their way in.
Panicked commands coming out of the Kings at the moment.
Spam trying to get in there and do their work, but these units are reasonably tanky, and the chain reaction right there, the build power going down. They really do need to punch in that little bit deeper though and get those APHIS if they can. Oh, big damage, big damage.
We get to
that
one
was
more
a lot.
Set.
And they're still alive too. They're punching in for that next section. Razorback's going to get in the way, but I reckon these guys are going to get that eco center. I reckon they're going to get those pink APHIS.
Go for the converters first.
Yes. There we go. Oh.
Wow.
That's huge. That's the Kings dropping down by a little over 50% of their eco.
That is how fast it happens,
giant hole.
Just like
that is how fast these games can turn on a dime. The Kings have been doing so well, but that one big push, that one big set of units, absolutely massive. This is similar to what we saw the other day, where the Peasants were basically completely defeated. They were down to about 2 players left, but they sent 5 Juggernauts in, and if they had had a 6th Juggernaut, they would have taken all the Kings out instead of losing. A Jug does come up into this top right side though. These Peasants have come online. They are taking out more of this eco, and with that middle section fallen, there was not the defense to stop that Jug.
I tell you, somewhere a bar developer is watching and thinking that this is how we intended this game to be played. That was some good action.
Yes, it was. That was phenomenally good. And this is why we love doing the King of the Hill games. I thought this one was in the bag for the Kings. With cleaning up one section and expanding into it, this is a ludicrous amount of eco for one player to have, and fantastic additional attack vectors, but it just has not been enough.
Do love
and now the Peasants are up 3 times the eco. So fantastic work by all that purple pretty.
We do have a lot of recovery happening at the moment. Red is expanding nicely into the bottom of the map along with yellow. You can see some of those rezzed fusion reactors that I had suggested it was a good idea to do earlier. And look at the amount of res bots. We've got 400 of them going around the map, just cleaning everything up, making sure that metal's staying with the Kings. Hey, there is still a chance. We had a game 2 weeks ago.
The Kings are not out of this yet. They're in...
Yeah, we had all but 2 Kings fall and come back somehow, and yeah, after winning no lanes essentially, somehow came back just off of 2 ecos.
If they can keep Peasants largely in their sections where they currently are, there's a reasonable chance that they can reset and make some decent pushes again.
If the Peasants really want to get this one in the bag, they really need to clear the Kings out of half of that middle and grab all that reclaim. get it pumped into their own eco, strengthen themselves, and then get ready for some pretty massive pushing, because this is going oof. We just had one of Yellow's eco centers go down as I believe a jug exploded in the middle of it. That is a nice big chunk of their eco down. Very hard to tell exactly what's going on for the red team as far as their eco, because so much of it is reclaim, but they are sitting at, I would say, without the reclaim, they're sitting well below that 1,000 mark.
Some more pilums coming in on the left-hand side. I do feel sorry for Bid-O Iluf, the light pink player whose base has fallen about 4 times this game so far, but doing well to rebuild every single time, like not giving up. You see players drop out of games in bar when they get frustrated. That's not how to play the game. Just keep going until you know that it's definitely lost. I mean, I'm all for a resign vote if you're 100% sure you're going to lose.
Oh, I don't know. Somehow the red team has managed to turn their eco around, and they're currently well and truly ahead of the blue team. They hopefully will have an opportunity to get back into the game. 1.45 million metal for the red team, but this is...
Are these pilums going to see?
Has been seen.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. Does this give a bigger explosion if it goes pop? I really want to see it go pop.
I really want to know that.
To find out.
There we go.
It doesn't look like the Soul Invictus Strike Force was able to defend this one. Very, very awesome unit. Look at its majesty. Look at all the little details, like even just on the arms, the little hexagonal patterns. I wonder just how long these took to design. I would really like to meet the person in charge of all of their designs. These are every now and then you see a unit in a game that is just something genuinely special, and that is what these are, in my opinion. There is just something about them that is just perfect.
They get too excited, bro. We are on stream.
It's a giant mech, Twig. It is a giant mech. If you are not excited, there is something wrong with you. Oh dear. Does look like the peasants going to be making some pretty big waves in this. Soul Invictus is so close to getting to that build power, and once that goes up, that's going to be 5 of the very, very precious mexes. Oh, sorry, 5 of the very, very precious APHIS being taken down. It does look like it is going to self-D. Question is, can it take down those APHIS first? It does not. It gets eaten. It got eaten by the build turrets. That's I did not expect that.
Oh wow! Red
and those
has
APHIS do live.
Resurrected the infinite resources in now. Like, how come the meter's back up
that's
there?
excellent. That's excellent. As long as they can get the build power online, they have the potential to really push out massive spam now available from the yellow player. But it does look like it is just that little moment too late, as the Shivas are going to get in and take out some of this build power. The Great D Guns does manage to make most of it survive. Only one set of labs taken offline. Question is, what is the
work? I don't know if the peasants are going to crack through the top here. Having said that, most of the eco is now appearing in the bottom corner of the map with all the mexes. Those mexes are doing probably just as much metal as the conversion is at the moment. The hill looking very dissimilar to its former self. It's been built tall, and Kings fell hard, and it's kind of looking like they're emotionally unavailable up on the hill, but still somehow holding very much strong army presence, despite the bases being all but destroyed.
I do want to see these Soul Invictus heading up on in and trying to take out the eco centers up here. It's one of the only ways that the Kings might be able to get back into it, because then they will control this bottom right corner, and they'll be able to expand into the bottom left and turn it into a match that runs across the that runs top to bottom. Could give them a good chance, but the eco is still so heavily in the peasants' favor. It is now essentially a 4-to-1, though that could be just due to some reclaim shenanigans at the moment.
There's some big eco in the top right of the screen there, and you're seeing that with more Soul Invictus coming out of the purple players. got to see what you wanted. There isn't
I
just
did.
one or two of these.
I'm
We're seeing
surprised.
them everywhere. This
Everywhere.
is turning into a big, huge game. I reckon it's lucky I
Oh,
hit the
look.
record button. I think we might have to replay this one on our weekly Sunday upload for next week. Been quite the action.
Very good idea. Look at this. Titans and Soul Invictus all in one attack. What a beautiful
More
sight.
Pilums getting through to the economy in the middle of the map. I think these are the unit of the game, even though they're Soul Invictus.
They're so
look
fast.
pretty. I'm a little bit more excited by these things. Maybe
Oh,
not
they
gonna
are very,
quite
very
get
cool
there.
units, but
They're
they're not
very
a Soul
hardy as
Invictus.
well. Very hardy.
One of the things I like is their damage is very upfront. It's not like a Razorback where it takes a moment to do what it needs to do. If it gets in range, it's punching a hole in something.
That's 16,000 health.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But Soul Invictus has 23,000. Sorry, 650,000. I don't actually know which is which.
No, we do have a Soul Invictus APM
Oh, sorry.
still on the bottom
There
of
we
the map, and they are being taken out by these bastions.
Oh no. Gotta be putting these on move commands. Get into that eco boyos. There we go, they're back up and moving. There are still 6 left. There's still a couple of Titans. There's still a Kagi. But these are exploding and dealing a lot of self-damage. And these bastions dealing plenty of damage to these units as they march in. But does look like there's going to be enough to break through all of this. Particularly if that conversion behind and those fusions pop, that's going to be a pretty big deal. There we go. Just keep walking down. They are on a move command up that potentially up that ramp or into the side of the cliff. Are they tall enough to shoot down?
Just keep swimming.
Just keep moving. But one of the things that is also happening is just above we have purple Soul Invictuses and Juggernauts and Spam and Shivas that are starting to absolutely push their way down and through. They're heading towards the eco centers right here. This is going to be super hard to defend. Just quickly jumping back to the Soul Invictus in the bottom left as they take out that first Aphis bunch. They are going to have to fight a Behemoth though, and Behemoth's ludicrously good at killing big units. That giant attack does huge damage. Leave them to their fate over there as we watch Soul Invictus on Soul Invictus action up here. The Juggernaut just deciding to run his way in, aiming for the build power. Does manage to get it. I believe that might have been with a missile or with some spam. And it does get the objective of taking out a lot of that conversion. This one Behemoth taking out most of these units over here. A second one does look like this corner is going to defend each shot out of that massive turret.
We got vision.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh,
Go for the build power.
Oh.
Almost all of it.
Oh, the density. The density of that spot.
If you get an opportunity, leave
that.
at least a gap in a lot of things.
Yeah, quickly reclaiming those edge Aphis might have saved. That was great.
Look, I think when you're in that sort of position, and if an enemy gets up to you in that corner, your corner was probably going to fall anyway. So I don't mind the mass chain reaction. I also loved to watch it.
Do have another eco forming in the bottom right hand corner there with a bunch of construction bots that have built themselves into a big field of converters. We will see.
I don't think we've ever seen the peasants take this much of the center without winning yet.
That is very true. I think these donated Soul Invictus, the Soul Invictus airdrop is the only thing keeping the Kings in the game at this point. But they did play very valiantly, and it was just one big push that swept the game around. It was looking like Kings at the advantage, but now it is looking like the Kings are going to potentially bow out. Don't think we'll get quite the full team surrender, but shouldn't be too far off of that, as this Aphis Center is going to start taking some real damage soon.
Very nicely done by the
And there we go,
player.
vote past.
It was not so much about strategy at the end of that match for the Kings and more about therapy with everything they just had to go through. A very long one there, 44 minutes, really nicely done by the Kings. I thought they had it. And yeah, that one
So
lane
did
falling,
I.
and that's all it takes. As Pillam's getting through and making that chain reaction pop. It's very hard to coordinate as kings, but you do want to try and separate those ecos out so that if you do get a chain reaction, it is only limited to like your little quadrant. Anywho, let's check out these graphs and stats.
Yes, red getting that Soul Invictus drop just after the 33-minute mark, and you can see the giant amount of damage done by those units. Phenomenally good unit. But beyond that, we see a lot of very high damage done by the Kings, the orange player and the cream player in particular, along with the red and the pink, doing very well with that strategy in that top right-hand side, utilizing the spam and the Razorbacks to great effect. And then you can see when the peasants came online, in particular the light blue player who managed to punch through and do all that eco damage. That is this big section over here as the damage graph goes up and up and up, though a lot of that isn't actually shown. The chain reaction damage doesn't show up on the person's damage dealt graph.
All right, back to the lobby, boys, and we'll get ready for the next one.